Welcome to a special edition of Reality Reckoning. What you're about to see is the result of a months-long investigation, piecing together court documents, exclusive interviews with confidential sources, and the tragic timeline of events that TLC and the Castravet family never wanted you to know. The story doesn't begin with a dramatic event, but with quiet signs of trouble. After losing $75,000 in his business, Andrei Castravet faced a major setback. But that wasn't the end. Shocking details soon came to light. According to confidential sources, Andrei got himself into nearly $350,000 of debt through online gambling platforms. When he couldn't pay the debt back, a lawsuit was filed against him. He was later arrested and taken to court. After a long hearing, the final verdict was read out in court. Based on all the evidence and testimony, the judge announced that Andrei Castravet was sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison for his crime. Once this truth came out, things got even more tragic. During the financial crisis, his wife Elizabeth became overwhelmed. Eventually, she decided to leave him. Elizabeth divorced Andrei Castravet. To understand how things got so bad, we have to look at where it all began. Andrei always showed confidence. From his first appearance on 90 Day Fiancé, he clashed with Elizabeth's family, especially her father, Chuck. One of the main conflicts was his job status. Andrei wanted to prove he wasn't just living off others. He saw himself as a provider. Later, with a $75,000 investment from Chuck, his father-in-law, Andrei started a real estate business in Florida. On the show, it looked like a success story. It was shown as his redemption, a hard-working immigrant flipping houses and earning the respect he had long wanted. But our investigation found that the story shown on TV wasn't the full truth. In late 2022, Andrei's real estate business was hit hard by a major problem that was never shown on camera. A house flip in the Tampa area, which he had invested a lot of money into, went very wrong. It was a perfect storm. Andrei was confident, maybe too confident. A poor inspection missed big problems with the structure and plumbing. Renovation costs doubled, then tripled. Just as the house was ready to be sold, the market slowed down. He had to sell it at a huge loss just to avoid further losses. It wiped out nearly the entire $75,000 investment from Chuck. Andrei was devastated. It wasn't just about money. It crushed his pride. He had failed, and the pressure to recover the money and still appear successful was huge. In that desperate moment, Andrei made a risky decision. He looked for a quick fix, a way to win back the money and prove everyone wrong. He turned to online gambling. Our sources say he started small, betting on sports like international soccer and American football. It was manageable at first, but after losing his business money, the bets got bigger. He found high-stakes online poker and blackjack games that were always available on his phone or laptop. He stayed up all night. Elizabeth thought he was working on real estate deals, but he was in his office behind a locked door, glued to a screen. Sometimes he'd win big, $10, 000, or $15,000 in one night. He'd talk about buying a new car or going on a fancy vacation. But that's how gambling traps you. The wins hook you. The losses destroy you. According to financial records we reviewed, Andrei used his savings, credit lines, and even his business accounts to fund his growing addiction. He was chasing his losses, a common mistake in gambling, thinking the next big win would fix everything. In less than 9 months, Andrei Castravet had lost almost $350,000. This debt wasn't owed to a bank. It was owed to online gambling sites, many of which are unregulated and operate in legal gray areas. These aren't normal casinos. They use algorithms, give credit to big gamblers, and make it dangerously easy to spiral into debt. When you can't pay, they don't just send reminders. They send threats. Then they send lawyers. In early 2023, the threats became legal action. One gambling platform based in Israel, but with U.S. legal representation, filed a civil lawsuit in Florida against Andrei for failing to pay over $140,000. This lawsuit changed everything. It sent shockwaves through the Castravet family. Elizabeth, who reportedly didn't know the full extent of the gambling, was completely blindsided. The image of Andrei as a successful businessman was shattered. It was a disaster. Fights at home became constant. Chuck found out. Everyone found out. Andrei was served court papers at his home. Elizabeth was devastated. She felt totally betrayed. The money was gone, but even worse, the trust was gone. Andrei didn't respond to the lawsuit quickly. He missed court dates, possibly hoping the problem would disappear. But it didn't. The plaintiff's lawyers asked the court for a default judgment. Because of Andrei's lack of response, the judge issued a bench warrant for his arrest for contempt of court. On the morning of May 12, 2023, Andrei's situation took a serious turn. As he was leaving home to run an errand, two sheriff's deputies met him in his driveway. Neighbors watched as he was handcuffed and put into a squad car. Elizabeth and their daughter saw it all from inside the house. Elizabeth collapsed. Andrei was taken to the Pinellas County Jail, booked, fingerprinted, and processed. He spent one night in jail before posting bond. The charge was civil contempt. But for a man whose whole image was about being in control, this was a massive humiliation. The civil case soon escalated. The gambling company's lawyers, using evidence that Andrei had used business money for personal gambling, argued this was fraud and a breach of fiduciary duty. The state took interest. Now, there were possible criminal charges, wire fraud and theft by deception. Prosecutors said Andrei knowingly borrowed money with no plan to repay it. Just over a month after Andrei started serving his sentence, Elizabeth filed for divorce. The official reason was an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. Sources close to Elizabeth say it was the hardest decision she's ever made. She still loves him and probably always will. But sometimes love isn't enough. The man she married, the strong provider she believed in, was gone. He had become someone else. Someone lost in addiction. She had to protect herself and their daughter. The divorce went through without any fight. From jail, Andrei couldn't challenge it. Elizabeth got full custody of their daughter. She moved out of their home and is now trying to rebuild her life with help from her family, away from public attention. So where are things now? Andrei Castravet is still in prison, with a release date expected in mid-2024. That after his release, Andrei will likely face deportation because his permanent residency can be taken away due to committing a felony. His relationship with the past family is now beyond repair. Chuck doesn't just feel financially betrayed. He's deeply hurt by the pain Andrei caused Elizabeth. The family that once accepted Andrei, even with their disagreements on camera, now wants nothing to do with him. Elizabeth is now a single mother, trying to rebuild her life after everything fell apart due to Andrei's secrets and addiction. What started as a fairy tale on 90 Day Fiancé has ended in a truly tragic way. This story is a powerful warning about how addiction can destroy lives, how dangerous secrets can be, and how hard it is to live under public scrutiny. It's a reminder that what we see on reality TV is often just a carefully managed image. That image can break under pressure, leaving people to lose everything that really matters. Our thoughts are with everyone affected, especially the innocent child caught in the middle of all this. More shocking news has rocked the world of 90 Day Fiancé. Elizabeth and Andrei recently made a big announcement that left fans talking, but that was just the start. A major secret forced the family to leave the country. Things got worse when the couple took a break after their biggest argument ever. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more dramatic, Alexei accidentally let Andrei's huge secret slip. Here's what happened. On a recent trip to Moldova, a misunderstanding caused a serious argument between Elizabeth and Andrei. On 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after, the couple, who have been married for 8 years and have 2 children, had a fight over their future plans. Andrei threw a big party for his friends and family in Moldova, similar to their wedding years ago. At the event, he spoke to the guests in Romanian, telling them that he and Elizabeth were moving to Moldova permanently with their children. But because of the language barrier, Elizabeth had no idea what Andrei said. She explained in a confessional that her Romanian wasn't good enough, and she didn't understand what was going on. She felt confused and embarrassed. Things got even more confusing when Andrei set off fireworks to celebrate what he thought was their decision to move. Elizabeth still didn't understand what had happened. This moment showed once again how poor communication has affected their relationship. Elizabeth's limited Romanian has caused problems before, especially when it comes to important decisions. After the announcement, she looked shocked and confused. It was clear that the two of them were not on the same page about moving permanently. Fans also noticed Elizabeth's discomfort with basic living conditions in Moldova, like sharing a bathroom with 6 people. Some viewers felt her reactions were unrealistic, or even staged for the show. But the misunderstanding highlighted a bigger problem. The couple may not have fully discussed the idea of relocating before the trip. While Andrei acted like she had agreed, Elizabeth didn't seem to know that a decision had been made. Before they left, Elizabeth had talked to friends like Lauren Brovarnik and Yara Zaya about possibly moving. Both friends had doubts. Their concerns weren't just personal, they also brought up real-world issues. Yara questioned why anyone would move to Moldova right now. Elizabeth insisted they weren't making a rushed decision. She said she wanted to explore Moldova and see what it might offer their family. Some viewers believed the whole storyline was made up just to stay relevant on the show, and that the couple wasn't serious about moving. Even so, Elizabeth seemed open to exploring Andrei's idea and said they wanted to find good schools for their kids. The couple currently owns property in Florida. In 2021, they bought land in Zephyr Hills for $397,900 and built a 2-story, 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home there. But then came another twist. A huge secret was revealed by Andrei that led Elizabeth and the kids to suddenly leave Moldova. Throughout the season, Andrei had been trying to convince Elizabeth to move to his home country. She was hesitant and looked for advice from her dad and from fellow cast members like Lauren and Yara to help her decide. Unfortunately, the trip was filled with surprises. One of the biggest was Elizabeth leaving Moldova without Andrei, flying back to America with their children and her father. Soon after, Andrei revealed he had lost about $75,000 in a bad investment related to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Elizabeth was already upset that Andrei wasn't being honest, and now this news made things worse. Things got even more tense when Andrei showed her the progress on a rental property. Elizabeth was shocked to see that nothing had changed in nearly 2 years. The house was dirty, filled with trash and unused materials. She asked him why he didn't tell her about the lack of progress. Andrei admitted he didn't want to share the bad news because he knew it would affect her feelings about raising their family in Moldova. Even though Chuck tried to help mediate, Elizabeth made it clear she no longer trusted Andrei. She canceled his ticket and left the country without him, flying home with their children. This wasn't the first time Andrei had made poor financial decisions. When he first came to the U.S., he wanted to be a truck driver. Chuck helped him by paying for school and even buying a truck. But that business didn't last. Andrei stayed home playing video games while Elizabeth worked. A year or 2 later, Andrei changed careers again. Even with no experience, he decided to go into real estate, just like the rest of the family. He asked Chuck for $100,000 to get started, knowing it would put Chuck in competition with his own relatives. There is currently another investment of almost $100,000 that Andrei has lost. But the worst part of this circumstance is that Andrei caught his wife off guard. Libby was aware of the other investments, and although Andrei's worries about his wife's reluctance to relocate are reasonable, the Moldovan native is obviously using this as a ploy. Sadly, it appears quite doubtful that Andrei will be able to persuade his wife to relocate overseas, particularly given that his family is once again suffering as a result of another one of his poor investments. Andrei is left to tell his family what transpired once his wife returns to America. This also implies that he must take responsibility for the lies he told his family. Andrei, though, is sure to manipulate this situation to his advantage, just as he did with his earlier ventures. He might also ask his father-in-law for additional assistance. However, the Moldovan star appears to have more pressing issues to deal with for the remainder of the season. Elizabeth and Andrei are taking a break after their worst fight ever. A worst fight ever has brought 90-day fiancés, Andrei and Elizabeth, to their breaking point. Their most recent argument rocked their marriage to its foundation, and Libby may be questioning whether or not she made the correct choice in marrying Andrei. Libby may not know much about Many things, but she does know that. Andrei has changed since she married him. Now when she wants answers, her spouse can't provide them to her. Tell me the truth. Just what is going on here? Because what is the reason behind their conflict? This topic is pretty intense, so you should keep reading to find out more. A fresh angle on Andrei and Libby's romance has recently emerged on 90 Day Fiancé. You can usually catch them yelling angrily at each other in front of their children. In a recent episode, Andrei nearly gave his wife the go-ahead to change her mood and take a shower. At this point, Libby became very emotional. Even though her husband had barking orders, she made it quite plain that she was going to take a shower because she wanted to. All right, independent American woman, Andrei muttered, rolling his eyes. Just do it. Go do it yourself, he urged. Libby called her husband ridiculous since she thought the scenario was implausible. Andrei, star of 90 Day Finance, has chosen to show Chuck and Libby his investment properties since he knows he can't keep the situation hidden any longer. But Chuck didn't believe a word of it and asked himself whether the land was real. When Andrei's business partners went missing and refused to come forward, his story took a turn for the worse. The time for truth has arrived. Libby was against the plan as well, and Chuck was worried the houses inside had been bombed. The property will consume more money than they had invested in it, she attempted to explain. They had no idea that the material provider had actually taken all of the money, leaving Andrei with no choice. It was a Russian corporation, Andrei said, and it hadn't responded to any of his emails since the conflict between Russia and Ukraine began. They did in fact steal from them. The money wasn't Libby's biggest worry, but the way Andrei lied to her made her furious. Elizabeth made it plain that she doesn't want to live if her husband acts like this during the worst fight of their marriage. Libby wasted no time getting Chuck back to the United States. Meanwhile, Andrei has expressed his pain and mentioned, "We'll take a break." He waited for his wife to calm down before returning with the rest of the family. "I am releasing her and allowing her to be," he continued. Oops. Alexei slips up and exposes Andrei's massive secret. Inadvertently, 90 Day Fiancé Alex Broanik revealed a significant revelation that Andrei Castravet most certainly did not want to be known. Regarding the latter's whereabouts, he provided some startling information and declared that he was heading in lost. But what sort of loss? Alas, poor Alexei may have forgotten his bro code and told his wife and Yara everything. However, it is not all. The secret is now public knowledge, but Andrei may have chosen to keep it to himself by not telling his wife Elizabeth. However, what is the point of this? Andrei, what kind of loss is he dealing with? What was the response from Lauren and Yara? Because the tea is so hot. Continue reading to learn more about this dispute. It was not Elizabeth's decision to relocate to Moldova. The decision was made by Andrei, and she just didn't want to disagree with her spouse. The pair talked about this plan with their pals on 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, and Lauren was totally opposed because Andrei imposed his will on her companion. She had problems with him. Elizabeth did clarify, though, that her friends must keep in mind that there are limits and that they cannot intrude on every issue. She made the long journey to Moldova in order to support her husband, despite the obvious challenges she faces due to the language barrier and cultural differences. Libby is clearly making every effort to adapt to the new situation in 90 Day Finance Happily Ever After. The equations between Lauren and Alexei, Jovi and Yara, and Andrei and Elizabeth are currently on display. The two of them so made the decision to go out when the latter pair was gone. When Yara wanted to know what had happened in Moldova and how things went there, she was eager to say that she was willing to meet the pair. Alexei, though, was ready to add his voice Since Andrei would have had to tell his wife that he had lost $75,000, he thinks that things wouldn't have gone so well. Not believing what he was hearing, Joy quickly intervened to stop Alexei. It was forbidden for them to discuss this with their wives. He pointed out in an Eaton video. Dan reminded his companion that the information ought to have remained confidential. The secret had already been revealed. Then Alexei told Yara and Lauren that Andrei was in certain a building in Moldova. He informed his buddies might not be being constructed. Thus, he had a probability of losing $75,000. The celebrity clarified that he nonchalantly informed Elizabeth of the news since he believed she would have known by now. Elizabeth, Lauren pointed out, would have been aware that $75,000 would have been invested in Moldova. It appears, however, that she is unaware that they have already left. Alexa, though, made a joke about how Libby would now find out. Do you have any thoughts on this? Tell us in the comments area. Please, no more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.